Hi everybody, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 5 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. This subject comes from an article I saw in Entrepreneur, and the title is great. It said, "The 7 Insanely Productive Habits of Young Entrepreneurs." That'll grab your attention, won't it? And there's some good stuff in there. Feel free to look it up if you're interested. One of the concepts, one of the aspects of that particular article, however, really jumped out at me, and I think it can really help us, for those of us who are looking to become more purposeful in how we create our life. It's a question that the article suggests we ask ourselves every night. And the question is, if I lived every day the way I live today, what kind of future would I create? So now, we've got to be a little bit careful about that question, full of care, because some of us find ourselves living less than purposeful lives. You know, kind of we go through our daily routine, we do what we think we have to do, and if we look back at that day and say, oh man, if that's going to be my future, I don't like it. So we want to be very gentle. If that is good information, if you look back on the day and said, okay, if I lived every day of the rest of my life the way I live today, what kind of future would I create? Is that good information? I love that because it has 2 components that I think can be very effective. One is we're using hindsight. We're looking back at the day. Hindsight is always 20/20. It allows us to be objective. We don't want to be hypercritical. We want to be hyper-aware of what worked for us, what didn't, and how we found ourselves being. And then it asks this neocortex question. What kind of future would this create? Not, is it right, was it wrong, was I good, was I bad? But what kind of future would this create? I love that. A neocortex question, by the way, is a question that can only be answered by the upper 80% of the brain, the neocortex, and it's about the future. The frontal lobes, these frontal part of our brains, is where we think about the future. And if we began to look at the kind of future we're creating and begin to do that more purposefully based on the kind of life we want to create, we can begin to think about our future in a different way. So this isn't about worrying about what we did wrong. It may be about noticing that we may have lived a little bit less purposefully during that day, this past day, than we want in the future. It also speaks to the concept that our future is really a series of days that we create, a series of moments really that we create. And if we start creating these days, these moments on purpose, in a way that we would teach to someone we love, then all of a sudden the life we start to create starts taking shape in this very purposeful way. So if you like this, if you want to become more purposeful as you go into the future, use your awareness of how the day went. Look back at the end of the day and ask yourself the question, if I lived the rest of my life the way I live today, what kind of future would it create? Begin to get clear about the future you want to create, the kind of person you want to be in a way that you would teach to someone you love. Resolve to go into the next day, the morning, practicing being that way. Then around lunchtime, reboot, and resolve to go into the afternoon, practicing being that way. Then around the drive home, around dinner time, reboot, resolve to go into the evening, practicing being that way. All of a sudden, what will start to happen is your days will start to reflect you at your best, who you are when you are practicing being a way you would recommend to someone you love. And when we can create a life that is all about moment-to-moment practicing, of being a way we would recommend to someone we love, we start to create a pretty special life. I hope you're finding these videos valuable. I'm having a wonderful time bringing them to you. If so, please hit the like button. And if you want me to come and talk to your organization about how to become more purposeful, or if you want to work with me one-on-one about that, all you got to do is go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and I would love to talk with you about that. Also, by the way, for those of you who would like more information on how the brain works, you could go to my website. On the first page, there's a place to put your first name and your email address. I will send you a free PDF about my philosophy of how the brain works and how you can use that information to become more purposeful. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. More clarity about how you are creating your life. More confidence about going into the next day, creating it in a more purposeful way, and being really creative in that process. More clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.